Hello and welcome to Buddhist Global's weekly news highlight. I'm Dr. Justin Whitaker, Senior Correspondent for BDG. This week we highlight the news that Thailand's Grand Palace and Temple of the Emerald Buddha have reopened after a long COVID closure. We'll have a look back at some recent BDG news about Buddhism in Thailand, but first the news. Thailand's Grand Palace and the Temple of the Emerald Buddha, located in the heart of Bangkok, reopened to the public on November 1st. As the Southeast Asian nation recorded a 4-month low in COVID-19 cases, Thailand is reopening a number of religious and cultural sites to tourists. Prior to the reopening, foreign tourists were required to quarantine on arrival before setting out on planned travels. Now, visitors from a list of 60 countries classified as low risk can enter Thailand without quarantine. Among the first tourists to arrive at Bangkok's Suvarnabhumi Airport were from Japan. The move is projected to vastly help the Thai economy, which is heavily dependent on tourism. The opening marks the end of nearly 18 months of restrictions aimed at stemming the spread of the novel coronavirus. Arriving tourists will be required to show proof of vaccination and a negative test result. They will then be tested again on arrival. If they test positive for the virus, they will be assessed and will need to stay in a government-approved hotel or hospital for observation. If they test negative both times, they will be permitted to travel freely, according to the Thai Prime Minister. A souvenir shop owner near the Grand Palace resumed his business after nearly 2 years of closure or limited operations, saying that he decided to reopen as he expects a better situation and more tourists to come. He added that he strongly supports the reopening to ensure Thais can earn a living while living with the pandemic longer than many were expecting. At the Temple of the Emerald Buddha and other Buddhist sites, safety requirements still include wearing a mask and on-site temperature checks. While tourism contributes to the funding of many Buddhist organizations in Thailand, the majority have fared well through the pandemic shutdowns. Many Buddhists have used their resources to help fellow Thais, opening soup kitchens in the early months of the pandemic. Recorded daily cases of COVID-19 peaked in mid-August at nearly 22,000 per day, but by late October they were down below 9,000. Amid the surge in cases in August, the Buddhist Kingdom of Bhutan sent 150,000 vaccine doses to Thailand in an effort to boost inoculation rates. To date, Thailand has reported nearly 2 million cases of COVID-19 and almost 20,000 deaths attributed to the disease. The country's strong lockdown measures, while economically difficult for many, helped to keep cases very low before the Alpha and Delta variants emerged. In early April, Thailand had just 28,889 confirmed cases in total. As case numbers rose, Buddhist monks were among the first to receive the vaccines. This was due in part to the activities of monks, which often involve meeting many people face to face. It also helped stem vaccine hesitancy in the country. BDG has long kept a close eye on Buddhism in Thailand, a country which is predominantly Buddhist with nearly 95% of its population identifying as Buddhist according to recent census data. Islam, primarily in the south, and Christianity make up the largest minority religions. In recent years, the kingdom has seen pushes by women to have equal religious status as men. As our senior editor, Craig Lewis, reported in 2019, perhaps the most prominent figure in this movement is Dhammananda Bhikkhuni, who has witnessed a growing number of Thai Buddhist women seeking full ordination in the spirit of the Fourfold Sangha, established by Shakyamuni Buddha with the help of Buddhist communities overseas, usually in India and Sri Lanka. Thailand has never recognized the monastic ordination of women, meaning that those who take ordination often face discrimination and lack of societal acceptance. Despite the lack of official acceptance, the movement is gaining momentum. And amid a spate of disturbing media reports of misbehavior and impropriety among the male monastic community, the prominent Buddhist scholar and activist Sulak Sivaraksha has even predicted that if female monks, many of whom are highly educated, holding advanced degrees and with backgrounds as business executives, continue to conduct themselves in accordance with the Vinaya, then they might one day lead the monkhood by example. For now, however, female monasticism still faces an uphill battle in Thailand. Yet another area of struggle for equal treatment has been undertaken by the kingdom's LGBTIQ community. Last year, I reported that Thailand's cabinet approved a civil partnership bill that would, if finally passed, recognize same-sex unions with similar legal rights as those granted to married heterosexual couples. The move marked a clearly liberal change for the LGBTIQ community in a nation known to be legally conservative. Importantly, the change would allow same-sex couples to adopt children and enjoy equal rights of inheritance and joint property ownership. If the bill, which began its journey through the Thai legislature in 2018, is passed by Thailand's parliament, it would become only the second government in Asia to allow registration of same-sex unions after Taiwan. Thailand, known for an extraordinary tolerance of gender expressions, even became a hotspot for LGBTIQ travelers before the coronavirus pandemic. Nevertheless, the legal framework of the nation, based heavily on ancient Buddhist moral values, has lagged far behind. Despite the progress over the years, final recognition of same-sex marriages, civil unions, or domestic partnerships has not been finalized. Recent BDG news and feature articles covering Buddhism in Thailand can be found on the video notes, and please let us know what you think about Thailand's reopening and cultural progress in the comments below. And as always, be sure to check out our website, buddhiststore.net, for more on this story, as well as other news and features about Buddhism around the world.